Yeah, I think it's 11:50. Not sure about the time change. Today, the November 6th. Yeah, I was filming a vlog about socio-cybernetics with this old phone, and the battery was still charged, but it shut down because of the battery, but it's really because of the cold. And then my laptop here is freaking freezing on my knee. So yeah, it's gonna damage. I have to not just heat at night, I have to heat during the day. So here, this is for the ministry. There's a few vlogs I film on the weekend just to prove that I still exist, even though you're off for the weekend and you haven't solved things that are solvable, but because you kind of require other people to approve or to read more of the things that are your notes that are very bad notes. And if you if you ever call me on, hey, you didn't tell us this, or this is not approved, you have to reimburse this, well, I'm sorry, but I inform you of things, and when you don't inform me of the things I ask or in time or avoid, or it closes and you don't say why it disappeared or whatever, I document things, folks. I document with screenshots, with audio, with video. And if a video, for example, of me being in your offices in front of a judge doesn't coincide with your staff's notes, and that pretty much will be most of the time, then I'm sorry, but somebody might need to be going to jail there, and you can have the staff go there, but it's really a systemic culture-wide thing, right? I mean, in the past, when these problems were starting to get worse with your ministry, I said, because I'm a union representative with your provincial union, I would stand by you guys. And you don't have the courage to do that. You just have the courage to complain behind closed doors about your work, not about the people that still exist on the weekend while you're home and that have hardships when the cold gets worse. You complain about things in very vague, weird, inhuman ways that relate to your conscience, really. Now, the only way to heal your conscience is to say, we're going on strike, and it's not just about us and our work conditions and the stupid software we use and how we kind of really have allowed ourselves to be devolved to the point that we can't do a good job without making one of our peers upset that now the quality we're doing is higher, but it's what the clientele of British Columbia deserves. Yeah, well, if you gotta grow a spine and be a responsible adult and all this stuff. So here I'm telling you in this link, and you can decide when I write things on a service request to not go see a link. You can decide to do this, but you'll have to explain this to a judge. Like, that your computer should be able to access the internet, and it's not a virus. You can tell it's a YouTube link, and it's not a downloadable whatever. So if you don't want to go see the information I give you, again, you might write in your notes, client did not provide. I'm sending you freaking videos of my coolant leaking, and because tomorrow was the appointment, and supposedly all the parts are there now, the radiator, but they didn't tell me, is I don't have the money, so I had to delay the appointment till Friday. I don't even want to be in this town, but I can't leave without this repair. So I put $1,000. I have 115 right now left in the bank, and a little bit in my wallet. So now it's delayed till Friday. So now I have to go park again when they're closed and plug in, and my cable, which you will see in pictures, is really bad. It doesn't work well. It's supposed to be outdoors for a lot of cold, but it's not. Like right away it did like a black melting thing in the plug like a week ago, and I've only started using it less than 2 weeks ago. So it's pretty nasty. I went to Canadian Tire to try to exchange it. Turns out I bought it at Walmart. I can't afford to go to Walmart, which is in Nelson. If you paid the gas for that and you paid for the boots for months have been set aside with orthotics, boots that you create more expense than what you grant eventually, but that eventually only ends up going to the business service providers, and I still never get boots. So when you guys get paid that your salary exceeds the amount of the things you accept or refuse most of the time that go to the needy, that can prove they're needy, you just don't want to look at the data because it's hard on your conscience, then you got to admit something's seriously wrong systemically with your culture, which is why I call it the Ministry of Poverty, Drug Addiction, and Homelessness Creation. So I asked in the past, I went to pay for a doctor to get a shingles vaccine, and it runs in my family. It's a high risk, so it's stressful that I'm not going to do well this winter until you guys finish paying yourselves off in your money laundering schemes, and maybe something's left over for me to survive. So I'd like the shingles vaccine, but I'm not going to go again, get another note if my other one is more than a year old, and pay the cash out of my wallet and be robbed, and I can't go to the RCMP to declare it, because then they'll have to investigate with you guys too. Say, what's wrong with you guys? And nobody wants to do this. Nobody wants to fix anything. So my medicine, modafinil, I'm getting the renewal. I can't keep this at the right temperature without heating a little bit during the day, and definitely at night as well. I need throat lozenges, Tylenol, a lot of the time. I don't have a doctor that gives me free samples. I get treated poorly every time I step into a hospital, because that's who you are. I'm going to send you pictures about different heaters that might be a cheaper alternative to, solar panels, batteries, and my propane tank, which I'm not even sure, unless I bring the vehicle in person, and they haven't answered yet about an estimate. So I'd like to leave this area, and I can't. They keep pulling me back in. It's like I can't afford to leave a place where my human rights are being violated because of you. I can't afford to leave, but because people are like you here, they're not problem solvers. I hear of a guy like this morning, and he was so freaking cold last night. He's an older man. He's like crying, pretty much, talking about how horrible the feeling is. I don't know if you guys ever experienced this. If you did, you wouldn't have such a clear conscience when you take, your Saturdays and Sundays off because you just wanted to delay finishing a file about approving something that would change somebody's life and make them cry of happiness that they don't have to worry about freezing. You don't know what that's like. Yeah, so I'll try to get you guys an estimate and some new service requests about a way to heat that is not related to solar panels or batteries. It's more related to propane. And try to find the cheaper way, which means I would need a bigger propane, and maybe eventually, if this heater works well, pay somebody to get it connected to my propane tank. But these are not things that require electricity. It's going to go on sale on Thursday. They only have one if it doesn't leave before that. But if somebody's smart like me, I'll have to go pay for it Wednesday before the sale, and then the next day bring my receipt and get the sale money reimbursed, just to make sure that it doesn't disappear. Because some people might buy it just in case they go skiing one of the days this winter with their motorhome, while somebody like me would use it the entire winter, but they don't care because you have to reference the outside world, right? You have to be understanding what's happening in your community and not close your eyes when you're walking about, like the Chamber of Commerce does. So I'll send you an estimate and a new service request on this. I'll do a medical one that talks about shingles, my medicine. Even if I buy Tylenol, I can't fluctuate in temperature this much, and if I want to buy a bigger container because it's cheaper, so poverty creates more poverty, especially with the way you guys do things, to always think about the bottom line. You pay yourself so much, and you're so, I can show you a criminal record check that I'm not a dangerous person. You can have my blood tested. I don't do drugs, and yet, and my resume, and I can keep putting vlogs about how doors are shut in my face when I'm overqualified for jobs and I don't get opportunities. And you could think there's something wrong with me. You can keep thinking that, but I'm telling you, you guys and your magical monetary paradigm, you're pretty screwed up. I'm gonna keep going on my list here. This is for the Ministry of Poverty Creation. So because I pushed till Friday, the radiator repairs, that's assuming you guys call the garage tomorrow, Monday the 7th, and say we approve, and then your check arrives. But maybe if it doesn't arrive, they'll still say, okay, we talked to somebody and we'll do it anyways, and maybe the check will arrive a day or two business later. So again, all these things I'm saying is you guys can buy my file. Just buy my file, and I'm going to leave BC and Canada probably with my head held high that I wasn't a culture breaker of Canadian society. You were. And I'll take on hardships, but I don't need to. I don't need to do this. I'd prefer leaving and letting you to your, cultural dead end. And you know what, Ministry? This is on record publicly. The person that sold me the Muller home, and by the way, I bought it to solve homelessness that you were helping to create in my life and causing more expenses in the process of the problem solving that I was doing. But the person that sold it to me for 5,000, he knew there was a lot of work left to be done, and some I can do myself if I'm not in survival mode and I have maybe a warm place to do it. But the other things, required some work. But then the work that you're paying for, like the rear brakes you paid for, the roof, I made sure the roof went into the shop 2 times to make sure it was well done, because it wasn't well done the first time. The brakes 3 times. So, I don't have to worry about that for a super long period of time. The radiator, once it's fixed, the exhaust, once it's fixed, for a super long period of time, no worries. So, these are long-term solutions to solve homelessness, but you don't want to do it. So buy my file. So what I promise is, because that guy was really nice to sell me the motorhome on a payment plan instead of a loan that you guys illegally maneuvered your way into, is that I will release the motorhome to a homeless person as a gift. No money, just somebody that has maybe the skill sets to fix it up and to pass it on and document it with you guys. But that's if you buy my file, so that I have enough money to leave and not worry about this stuff again. I will solve another homeless person's problem by giving them my motorhome. So that's a promise to you guys. Free motorhome. All you have to do is be a public servant with a conscience, and you can say, hey, I helped solve 2 issues, with the price of 1. So it's up to you guys if you think, being human is about saying no or yes, or, I don't know if you guys recognize a good guy and a bad guy anyways. Your multiple salaries definitely exceed, whether it's like the appeal process or the supervisor process or the, sending money to this service provider or that service provider. I'm asking you guys about why Work BC is not answering, you're not answering, why they're blocking my ability to find work, to get the funding I need for a lot of the work where they expect I already have these certifications. So yeah, you're not really part of the solution at all. So let me leave, because, I would leave with dignity that I paid my due diligence. I did not fail. I documented I did not fail. 99.93% of you insist on failing and continuing that. So you guys have a steady paycheck to come in to create more expenses in people suffering hardships lives, to launder money amongst yourself, the public service, the business world, the service providers, and you create more hardships in our lives and cultural breakages that are going to get worse. So, and if you make it to retirement, you're going to die right away, a heart attack, cancer, because your conscience is destroying your bodies, because you won't problem solve and do anything. So, teachers are on strike right now, and it's a cold time of year. Why don't you guys go on strike and say, you know what? Martin's not being picked up by the media, but maybe if, more people put posts like Martin, or we go on strike, then the media will pick it up, and then we'll be able to find that we don't require as much courage to do a human-related thing as a ministry public servant, because now the media is on our side, and the politicians will make an effort that we can help more people and find where all this money is going and solve these problems that are solvable, and the money's there, it's just not going where it's supposed to be.